New intro.
Welcome to the Micheaux Mission, 2 Men, 1 podcast, every black film ever made. My name is Vincent Williams, and I'm joined as always by my partner.
Hey, holla at your boy. This is Len, a.k.a. the Bat Tribble.
And here on our last stop in December of 2024, we are going to discuss a film that in a way is thematic here in the holiday season, the Christmas season, if you will, and that would be Jeymes Samuel's sophomore effort, The Book of Clarence, a film following the life of Apostle Thomas's twin brother, Clarence. Anna Diop, Omar Ty, and starring in the lead role as Clarence, as well as his twin brother, Thomas, LaKeith Stanfield.
Yes.
This was the choice of Lynn Webb.
Don't read anything into the mic drooping as we were talking about the Book of Clarence, ladies and gentlemen. That was totally unplanned. I mean it. That is no type of commentary on our thoughts of the Book of Clarence. Those thoughts will be coming your way very shortly.
Yes, they will.
All right. But before we get into that, shout out to each of you who are watching us as we stream live from Yup Junk, Philadelphia's premier video podcast palace in the heart of the city of brotherly love. We are streaming to YouTube, where each and every one of you are out there watching us, and I see you all in the chat. Hello, missionaries.
Good evening, one and all.
Vincent, we're going to start off the show real quick with a note from the corrections department.
Okay.
And it goes back a couple of weeks.
Okay.
Goes back to a couple of weeks when our good friend Mo, a.k.a. Ashy Feet Poplar, was in the studio, and he actually brought with him the top 5 and the 6 Degrees of Derville Martin for that night.
Okay.
And if you'll remember, his top 5, one of his top 5 was connecting one of his 6 Degrees of Derville Martin was connecting Derville to Paul Robeson.
Yes.
And we both immediately thought of one of the films that we have reviewed with Paul Robeson, which was
Within Our Gates.
No, not Within Our
Gates. Not Heart and Soul.
It wasn't Heart and Soul.
Not Body and Soul.
But it wasn't Body and Soul. The one where he's like a king or
The Emperor Jones.
Yes, Emperor Jones.
Emperor Jones.
Mm-hmm. And the conversation between the two of us was, well, we believe we can use Emperor Jones because in Emperor Jones is Frida Washington, who was also a kind of like a growing star of that time. And Mo Poplar told us live on air that Frida Washington was not in Emperor Jones.
Okay.
Frida Washington was in Emperor Jones.
Boom.
And Mo Poplar is the one who told me that.
See?
A couple of days later.
See? We could use Freddie Washington.
We could have used Freddie Washington.
Because then Freddie Washington was in, I know she was in Imitation of Life, but then I forgot who was in Imitation of Life.
Well, she was in Imitation of Life with Claudine Colbert.
Oh, yeah, and then Claudine Colbert opens it wide open with a lot of places.
She does.
With me and you.
Yes.
Because you know, I know when I see her. Oh, yeah, it's Claudette Colbert.
Claudette Colbert. Yeah. Yes. The fact of the matter is that Freddie Washington, we could have used Freddie Washington. But Mo was actually looking at the missed her being in that film.
Sure.
And it just blew up the whole. I mean, eventually we got it.
Oh, look.
But it would have been a lot sooner.
Sure. Well, it's the journey.
It's the journey. This is also why Mo Poplar is an associate.
Terrible.
The Micheaux Mission.
Woo, tough room.
It is indeed a tough room. Other thing, before we get into the show.
Is this another correction?
No, that was, so that's it.
Well, for now.
Well, yes. Yes. That is it from the corrections department.
We should do it live. That's my imitation of Lynn. Go ahead.
Wait a minute. Why is it?
We don't need to edit. We can. Oh Lord. See, see, that's the devil. See, it's the devil. That's what I get for being.
Yeah, that's what you get. That's what you get.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Anyway, as I continue live. This next thing is I actually wanted to tell you about this great weekend that I had. More specifically, I was thrift shopping this weekend, right?
All right.
And I was actually thrift shopping for some more like stainless steel cookware.
Okay,
right?
very
Trying
nice.
to change over the aesthetics and be a little bit more sustainable and healthy in the way that I cook and the things that I use and stuff like that.
Very nice.
So I was in a thrift store, a very popular thrift store in Germantown. Area of Philadelphia, and I was looking at their cookware, and to get through their cookware, you have to go through where all the like silverware and dishes are, right, all along this wall. And sitting there, minding his own business, in amongst all these ornate dishes and glasses and silverware and cutlery, that people have dispensers from estates, over the years, was a collection, I'll put this to the camera, of the 1945 radio show of Superman and Batman on cassette.
Oh, okay.
Just sitting there as if, Len,
I was about to say, boy,
find me.
that is just for you.
It is just for me, right? This collects from 1945, the radio show Superman and Batman, which, in fact, a lot of people don't realize it was on this radio show, is the actual first time that Superman and Batman met and in the same story.
Okay.
In the radio show, it takes place on a cruise ship, and that story would later be written into the comics as a first time that they met.
Who is this portion of the show for exactly? This is the type of thing we usually talk about after the show on the way home.
That's true. But
You are so deep into nerd woods right now.
I wanted to bring a little bit of they know we're nerds. So I wanted to bring
No. You are deep. This is deep in the woods.
This is deep nerdom. Yes,
Right.
It is to that extent. But what is not nerdom is that finding this over this weekend, right, put such a smile on my face.
I'm sure.
That I have worn that smile. I found this on Saturday.
Okay.
I have been wearing this smile for 3 days.
Have you listened to it?
I haven't listened to it yet because these are on cassette.
And you don't have a tape
I have
deck?
to find a tape recorder.
You know what? Longtime missionaries know you and I had a version of this conversation like 4 or 5 years ago when I said something about a VCR. And Lynn said, well, I need a VCR for. I'm cutting edge Lynn. And I said, you need to have stuff that plays old media. And then you said, blah, 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 blah. I may be paraphrasing a little bit. But now you wish you had your tape deck, don't you?
Well, I'm going to get a tape.
Okay.
I'm going to get a tape deck. It's funny. You had that I do remember that conversation. Sitting in my basement, waiting to be unboxed, is a small 13-inch Batman-shaped television. That is a television video cassette player.
Okay. That works. Here, let me see. Yeah, that works. It's beautiful.
It's beautiful, right?
That is beautiful.
And inside there is actually a collector's book with photos of the actors.
This is fantastic.
It's a fantastic find to find at the thrift store, and this gave me such a smile, especially considering that. And I talked about this a little bit over the weekend and on Instagram a little bit, that this weekend I was lamenting a little bit. Like my mom had said one day that one day you wake up, you look in the mirror, and it's an old person looking back at you, and you never felt it, right?
Sure.
And there was a moment this past weekend when I actually did. I didn't look in the mirror, but I actually looked at a picture that I had taken on a Friday, and I said, "Oh my God, who's that old man in the picture?" And it was me, and it kind of like behind my eyeballs had me feeling a certain type of way. But then I went into the thrift store and I saw that. And yes, did it, I'm always been a person that's in touch with like my inner kid. Like I'm a Batman head, right?
Sure.
I'm whimsical in that way, if you want to say it. But the delight that I got out of that just also reminded me that despite my outward appearance, to myself sometimes, I know that I'm still me. I'm still fun. I'm still a kid at heart, and that's what counts.
That is what.
And that like lifts me a little bit, out of my doldrums. And then this took it the rest of the way. And then my weekend, I had a fantastic weekend thrifting and shopping and bouncing around. So, yeah, and I wanted to share that on air with you.
All right.
My friend, my fellow nerd.
Yes.
Who could appreciate that.
Right on the way home, we'll talk about how the dying baby boomers has opened up this whole field of nerddom and ephemera and stuff. But that's on the way home.
That's on the way
because we're going to get deep into the weeds.
We'll get yes,
deep into
we will.
weeds.
We will.
Talk about 1980s inkers like we did last week.
We did.
Who inked that run on Detective Comics in 1975?
I think that was Palmer.
Was that Palmer?
we weren't even,
I think he really muddied up Marshall Rogers' pencils. Y'all think he gets nerdy in front of y'all. We get real nerdy.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
really?
But all right.
Okay.
All right.
Are you ready for a show?
Are you not entertained?
Well, prepare to be as we move into the part of the show where we hear from you, the missionaries, or as we like to call them,
missives from the missionaries.
So what else is going on, Lynn?
We have emails, Vincent.
Ooh, missives from the missionaries. Ooh. Ooh. Ooh, missives from the missionaries.
Missives from the missionaries. Vincent, we have an email from Ron Covington.
Hey, what's up, Ron?
Dear Vincent Len, loved your conversation around Richard Pryor and team-ups. I thought Richard was very strong in Hit from 1973 as an angry ex-Navy scuba diver recruited by Billy Dee, the star of the film, to help in a plot to kill several French drug lords in the course of a day. I've heard of this movie, but I wasn't aware.
I didn't know Richard Pryor was in it
Yeah,
until
me
this
neither.
exact second, because I haven't seen, but I always knew it was a Billy Dee Williams movie.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
The film was not really a blaxploitation movie, but an espionage revenge thriller starring a black actor. Richard has done 4 films with Billy Dee Williams: Carter's Army on ABC, Lady Sings the Blues, Hit, and Bingo Long. And in each film, the work between these men is pretty good stuff, with Hit being the best. Well, we'll have to check out.
Yeah, absolutely.
This got me thinking of the possibilities of team-ups, Ron continues, especially male-female combinations. What 3 or 4 male-female combinations of current black stars do you think could work across genres effectively in a series of different films? Personally, Ron would love to see Chiwetel Ejiofor and Naomi Harris, Aldous Hodge and Danielle Detweiler, or John David Washington and Tessa Thompson make a go of it. As always, keep passing the mic, Ron Covington. This actually brings to mind a show that you were a big fan of, Fight Night.
Yes.
Because Kevin Hart is in there. And he's, for much of that film, he is opposite of
Taraji P. Henson.
Taraji B. Henson.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I've only watched a couple of episodes of of the show, but there was a little bit of chemistry between them.
I enjoyed them. I enjoyed the hell out of them together.
Yeah.
She's in not as much, but in a significant part of it with Samuel Jackson too.
Okay.
And
I can see those two.
That's a combination.
Yeah, I can see them.
Because both of them can be funny and serious but yeah, those are good combinations.
That's a good combination.
Yeah.
So what do you think of Ron's question of other male?
Every time I see them in a commercial,
there you go.
I hope someone is putting together something that Gabrielle Dennis and Dion Cole can do together.
I know.
They are so good.
I know.
In those stupid commercials.
The stupid little commercials. It is spot on, perfect. I love them both. It took me a while to realize that, that's not really his wife, or because I knew that he wasn't.
But they're so good. It makes you think they're married.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really good one. I can't think of anyone else. I mean, there's so many people out there. Like, who would you pair with LaKeith Stanfield or?
I mean, not to step on the review, but like I would watch the hell out of Anna Diop and LaKeith Stanfield in New York City in 2020, whatever, in just a straight ahead rom-com.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, the mind boggles. There's tons of actors out there. So, but that's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
Good question. And he put forth more than a few.
I liked all those combinations.
Yeah. Aldous Hodge and Danielle Detweiler. That's really a good one. Thank you, Ron, for your email.
She's so good in Piano Lesson.
Yes.
Oh my!
I haven't seen that. I've seen the trailer, but
she is a beast.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to checking it out. Probably over the holiday.
Yeah.
We have another email. This is from Nicole Sherman.
Hey, Nicole.
Good afternoon, Len, Vincent, and missionaries. Well, it's the last show of the year, so I wanted to do a cheat code list for missionaries who are beginning their journey with the two of you.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh, boy.
That's interesting. I'm curious to see what the cheat code is.
I know.
All right, what we got?
Well, all right. The cheat code for the Micheaux mission, and then I'll go to the rest of her.
Okay.
Let me go to the rest of her email first.
Yeah, do your thing.
She says, how can you guys discuss a list of distinctive voices in hip-hop and not include MC Light? Her flow, delivery, let alone voice, is why she is able to book gigs that require voiceovers. Case in point, the BET Awards. MC Light does have a distinctive voice.
I'm never gonna fight anybody over Light.
I'm not going to fight that. I'm not going to fight that at all.
Because we didn't think of her, Nicole. Sorry.
Sorry.
But you were 100% right.
You are right.
Yeah.
MC Light, our apologies.
She's light as a rock.
She is.
And also paper thin.
And I will always remember that years ago when I used to write for this hip hop magazine, I spent an hour on the phone with MC Light as she was driving around LA picking up her laundry.
Okay.
That was through the course of our interview. It was fun. She was delightful. All right. The cheat code for the Micheaux mission.
Okay.
She has 10 points here.
Okay. All right.
Number one. Len and Vincent love comic books.
It's true.
That is very true.
That is true.
Very true.
Okay. So, okay. Right. You should probably know that. Going in. All right. Go ahead. Right,
Number two.
Ooh,
this is interesting. Vincent is Roger Ebert, and Len is Gene Siskel.
Oh. I think she called you a dick. Not to be too technical about it, but.
No, I don't think that's what she's saying.
I'm just saying, you watched Siskel and Ebert?
I don't think you thought that Gene Siskel was a dick.
Yes, I think we all did, including you.
I don't know that I thought he was.
Oh, you did.
I didn't think he was a dick.
I know she's not calling you a dick. I'm just being spicy.
No, you're the truth is coming out.
Just so you know.
Number 3.
Number 3.
Be on the lookout for special episodes for important black movies. Not going to name which one.
It's a treasure hunt.
Well,
I listened to Soul Plane. I don't find anything significant in this episode.
this is why, starting in January, as a free plug, that on Tuesdays we will be re-releasing old episodes of the Micheaux Mission on audio so that people can check them out. And we're going to be starting with January with the story of the Missives, going you through all throughout the timeline of our relationship with Dorian and Simone Missick and our good friend Omar Dorsey.
With special appearances by Omar Dorsey.
Yes. All right. Number 4.
Number 4.
Cheesesteaks and pretzel bites are big on this show. It's very true.
It's true. It's
very true. And in that order.
Yes.
Number 5.
Number 5.
Playing 6 Degrees of Derville Martin. That is very true.
Mm-hmm.
That is very true.
It is the game of kings.
It is the game of kings. Number 6. Len cannot tolerate foolishness.
I think she just called me silly.
I think that's reverse. I think you are the one that cannot tolerate foolishness. Because I definitely am sillier than you.
I don't know if you're sillier.
Vincent.
All right.
Vincent.
All right.
I just did 10 minutes about some Batman, Superman cassette tapes.
I just know the audience. I just know sometimes we get so deep into, like, the danger of it being just me and you here is that I understand I'm your primary audience. So you're like, you knew I am hugely invested in that.
Yes.
But I don't know how much anyone else is hugely invested in the 1940s radio show of Superman and Batman.
I don't know. I'm looking in the chat. Rel says, no, it's you, Len. Really?
Don't get distracted. See?
No, but really, okay, then I ask you, do you think that I can't tolerate foolishness?
I think you have a tolerance for it, but I don't know if you like it.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Like, you know, I'll go on a tangent and just stay there. Yes. Like, I just love it. So I think really she's talking about like tangents and being like, it's the producer in you. Come on, let's go. Come on.
All right.
All right.
Number 7.
Number 7.
Be aware of the Last Dragon slander.
See?
I think Nicole's coming for my neck.
No. These are observations. These are all observations.
There are all observations right here. Number 8.
Number 8.
Vincent is the bigger music person than Len. That's true.
Okay.
That's true. Number 9.
Mm-hmm.
Both their last names begin with the letter W.
That is true.
That is absolutely true.
That is 100% correct.
And last, but not least, they are like play uncles to the younger generation in a good way.
I'll take that.
Yeah, I'll take that. Yeah. Tell that to my real nieces. Happy holidays to the Micheaux men. I can't believe this show is almost 10 years old. Just imagine if you guys ever reach 500 episodes. That calls for a celebration. Love always, Nicole.
Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you, Nicole. That is very sweet.
Appreciate you.
Email. We really appreciate that. All right, we got another email.
Okay.
This is from Corey P.
Hey, what's up, Corey?
Good evening, Len, Vincent, and Missionaries. It's the last show of the year, and I want to start off by saying that I viewed my Spotify Wrapped, and the Micheaux Mission was number 1 out of all the podcasts I listened to.
Oh, well,
this year. Well, thank you.
Appreciate that.
I want to give endless thanks and praise for this show and helping me as a movie enthusiast and fan to think more critically of the movies I watch. I pose a question for you two to answer.
Okay.
Which predominantly white cast film could you both see as being made into a black movie? I watched 1984's Footloose for the first time today, and surprisingly, it still holds up, even with some editing choices that are a little uneven. The plot to me is simple, but with a religious conservative backdrop. In my opinion, I could easily see Footloose as a black movie. We will probably get more seasoned dancing. I hope you both have a great holiday and a joyous new year. The Micheaux Mission 2025 will be packed, and I cannot wait. From a missionary, Corey.
Okay.
Ooh, what predominantly white cast film do you both see as being made
with a
black movie?
I never think about this kind of thing.
No, you don't actually really like that whole idea of recasting.
But that Footloose thing is intriguing.
It is. It is intriguing.
So because of that, you got an answer? Why don't you give your answer and then I'll be quiet as I'm over here trying to think of one.
Predominantly white cast movie. Well, how about a totally different take on American Graffiti?
That would certainly change the whole movie up.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the first one that comes to my mind. Even though some might say that Cooley High is that.
Sure.
But, you know.
I will follow your lead. And here you go, yo. Here you go. Here's another podcast. Vincent Lynn in the car after the show. Last week, when you and I were talking about, y'all ready? 80s sci-fi on the BBC. And I mentioned the show Life on Mars.
Yes.
About a guy who goes back in time, and then he's a policeman back, in the past. It's like the 70s. Back to the Future. Ooh. With a whole black cast.
Ooh.
Could be really fascinating.
Ooh. Back to the Future.
And keep it the way it is. Like have the future be set in 1985. Mm-hmm. And then he goes back to 1955.
50. Yeah.
So a black kid in 1985 going back to 1955. Right. But a kid in 1985 could never envision a black president or all of the things that we sort of take for granted now. So even that dynamic, I think would be fascinating.
That would be interesting.
Right.
That's a good one. That's a very good one, Vincent. See, you don't like this type of stuff, but you're good at it.
I didn't say I couldn't do it. I just said I don't like it. You're right. It's like basketball, and like I know how to play it. I just don't like it.
Do you know how to play basketball?
Yeah, I just don't like it.
I mean, you don't give me the indication that you've ever bounced the ball.
I lived on a street full of boys.
So?
One of my best friends had a half court in his backyard.
So?
Yes, I'm familiar.
You could have been sitting there reading your Swamp Thing comic books while keeping score.
I told you.
It's 10-2.
I told you my Dungeons and Dragons story, right? I told you my Dungeons.
No, what's your
I did, because we were talking about religious.
Tell it again.
So,
it's this nerd out.
Oh, right, street full of boys. But I had a very supportive community. Mm-hmm. Like I could always be my authentic self, and like my boys would call me nerdy and this, that, and the other. But we played baseball, basketball, whatever. And for weeks, I tried to talk them into playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
And they finally did. So we, created characters. I was a dungeon master. We had set it up on my we had a deck behind our house. So like we were on the deck, and it was summertime and spread out, like it was just a beautiful scene. My mother had this friend who was overly religious, and you all can't see me if you're listening to this, but my air quotes, I almost won't break my fingers. I'm doing them so hard, saying she was overly religious. And she came out on the deck and yelled at us and said that we were consorting with spirits and worshiping the devil, and broke up my Dungeons and Dragons game.
Did she kick the board over?
She didn't kick it, but she yelled like my boys are like, yeah, all right, let's ball up top.
This is why we don't come over Vincent.
This got us over here consorting with spirits, apparently. So
this is why we just let them keep score.
Yeah. But how do we get on that? I don't know. Go ahead.
All right. Very good.
Yes.
So thank you.
All right.
We have another email. This is from Michael Lockett.
Hey, what's up, Michael?
Len and Vince, it is with both great remorse and joy that I make the following 2 requests.
Okay.
Number 1. Well, first of all, number 1, joyfully, I request that both commanding officers and fellow missionaries kick around an idea for some salute, written or verbal, specific to the show. My heart was warmed by Sergeant Lisa Alexander's correction of the flaring nostril mix-up with Mr. Brock Peters and Moses Gunn. I would love to salute Sergeant Alexander. Since we don't have anything, I will leave it with a thank you.
Yes. Yes.
So, Lisa, you have been thanked.
You have been thanked
by
and
one
saluted.
Michael Lockett.
By one Michael Lockett.
Number 2.
Number 2.
Michael continues. I believe we need a missionary tribunal of inquiry
Okay. Oh, my goodness.
into the curious case of the Michael Sykes cheesesteak incident. As a fellow member of the Council of Mikes, I request a hearing of the statements made by Commanding Officer Len Webb. Although they were 100% on point, I have family in Philly and went to University of Delaware, so I spent a lot of time there. You went in a little hard on the brother.
You did.
Michael ends that with, damn.
Yeah. I mean, although we might find you repugnant, we need men like you on the wall. And what Lynn would rather you do is just say thank you or go get a gun and take your post.
Either way.
We demand the truth, though, Lynn.
Wow.
This is a world made up of walls, and we need men like you to guard those walls.
And I am guarding this wall.
That's right.
Which is why I skipped over another email to get to this Michael's email.
Okay.
I think you're just going to slide it in there. Michael Lockett continues. Now to the movies. And yeah, the tribunal inquiry, whatever. Y'all do whatever y'all want. I don't care.
I'm going back to my base.
I'm going back to my base. And we'll see somebody else in a couple of weeks. Now to the movies. Stir Crazy, Michael continues, in my opinion, has gotten progressively worse as time is going on. With the power of Pryor and Wilder at this time, I think everyone thought this movie was going to be a comedy classic. It wasn't when it was released, and it still isn't. In fact, the longer it goes and the more it is dissected, the worse it gets. It meanders in every way possible and never really delivers. Richard's off-screen issues, which you pointed out, may have well been the root of the rot. On my time travels, I landed with you two as you critique Beloved. This film always disturbed me, but I never put it in the horror category. I didn't know why. Maybe self-preservation. By keeping as much distance between the actual psychological terror and trauma Black people live in every day in America was my subconscious reason. Vince, you totally talked me around to acceptance. This movie, although long, is an outstanding, horrific trip. I live in a small New York village just outside Manhattan, and Toni Morrison used to have a house one village over. Jonathan Demme, who I used to chat with all the time in the grocery store, also lived in my town. Where's this town?
It's a great town.
Until his passing. On the anniversary of Beloved, they had a discussion and book signing at our library. It was surreal and fantastic. Beloved is one of the best works of both of them. Where is this town?
I don't know, but since Beloved came up and we just name checked it, I don't know when we're going to get to it, but I thought Piano Lesson was an absolute triumph. And one of the aspects of the film that I thought was an amazing choice in how it differs from the play is that Malcolm Washington leans into the otherworldly, dare I say, horror elements of it. And I said it when I watched it, that Piano Lesson The Piano Lesson and Beloved would be a wonderful double feature.
Piano Lesson and Beloved. Okay, yeah. I can
Like
see that.
a wonderful, like if you've seen the play, and you know, certainly you should see August Wilson on stage whenever you can. There are certainly supernatural elements to the play, but they're kind of oblique and kind of, you know, literally in the background. Malcolm Washington's film brings a lot of it to the foreground, and it works so well. Like it really is, you know. I thought it was an amazing film. It's the best thing I've seen John David Washington in. You know, I just mentioned, I just forgot the sister's name.
Anna Diop or
No.
Real Dennis?
No.
Danielle Detweiler.
Danielle
Detweiler.
is magnificent. She's actually the only one in the cast who isn't from the latest Broadway revival. So like it's the Broadway cast that was just there on in the film, and it's the best thing that I saw all year.
I'm looking forward to
Yeah,
checking that
so
out.
but
All right. We have one more email. Thank you, Michael Lockett, for your
thank
email.
you, Michael. Thank you.
We have one more email. This is from Erica Washington.
Hey, what's up, Eric?
A biggest fan with receipts, Erica says. Hi, Len and Vince. The end of the year, well, another one, check this out. The end of the year annual Spotify Wrap dropped, which gives your stats on your listening trends and preferences. I listened to podcasts for 34,295 minutes, and my number one podcast is the one and only Micheaux Mission.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, thank
That's
you.
so nice.
Thank you for being a part of a whole lot of minutes of my life.
Oh,
Thank you,
well,
Erica.
thank you, and thank you for listening.
She has two questions.
Okay.
The movie question is, I love films like The Usual Suspects, Ocean's 11, and series like Lupin, but I don't know of any black-specific heist movies. Any thoughts or suggestions? The first one that comes to my mind is the Jim Brown movie,
Oh, the Split.
The Split.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is, it's
Even though I think it's just him and Diane Carroll.
yeah, but I mean, it's the black lead.
Yeah.
All right, so he's the black lead in it. So I would say The Split. Check that out, and it is a good film. Like he may be the
Amazing film.
It's an amazing film, and
Yeah.
even though him and Diane Carroll are the only black actors in there, they're the leads. Like Jim Brown is decidedly the lead in this movie, and it works as like this leading black man. It proves to him to be not just a man of action, but a man that could carry like tone and mood in a film. But it is a really good heist movie.
Yeah.
Really good heist movie.
Yeah. I think I was a bit disappointed with how it ended. Like, I think it blinked, but I think more of Cool Breeze holds together than not.
Cool Breeze, yes, which is
Thomas Rasala.
Thomas Rasala. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Heist.
A black heist film.
I mean,
Are you going to see The Monkey Hustle?
no.
But that's a heist.
Yeah, but it's not really that good. I mean, not good. It's not as good as Cool Breeze or The Hit.
The Split.
I'm sorry, The Split.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it like what's the difference between a heist and just robbing bank? Because I think Set It Off.
Yeah, but that's not like a heist film.
Like
Kind of
you
like
plan
it's like
it
it's
out,
planning.
and it's a plan. Okay, all right, no, that's fair.
You know what's a good one?
What?
Let's Do It Again.
Let's do it again.
Let's do it again.
It's funny because I was thinking of Uptown Saturday Night, but that's not the center of the plot.
Right.
But you're right. Let's do it again.
It is all about the
Let's
heist.
do it again is a series of heists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a good one. That's a good one. I can't think of anything more recent. Well, your Fight Night is a heist in a way.
Right. It's not a movie, but yeah, I think Fight Night was amazing.
Okay. And
Yeah.
does it stick the landing?
I thought it did.
Okay.
I've absolutely thought it did. It's one of these things where the only reason I'm talking like that is sort of like, did you ever watch The Poker King? I know this sounds like I'm coming out of nowhere. And you watched The Poker King, you was like, wow, that was really good. I can't even believe this thing. And then did you watch the documentary? Mm-hmm. And it was like, Oh my God.
Yeah.
This is so that's kind of like how Fight Night was, where it's like Fight Night is like, wow, this is really good. But then I listened to the podcast about the actual case, and it was like, oh my God. So yeah, it's good. It's just not as good as real life.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, I thought Fight Night was great. I love Fight Night.
Okay. Well, there's a couple of suggestions
There you
for you, Erica. She has another question. Following up on an email that she had sent earlier, the one thing I forgot to ask, and the email that she sent was in regards to Osmosis Jones.
Okay.
The one thing I forgot to ask is, why didn't we see Dylan on the Osmosis Jones review? I normally listen on my phone, but I specifically got on YouTube so I could see this mysterious man. He's going to have to come from behind the curtain sooner or later. Well, Dylan, the missionaries have spoken, and they would like a peek behind the curtain to give the one and only Dylan his props. So Dylan, can you come here and wave hello? Oh, look at Dylan.
look at
There
you go. There's Dylan.
There's our Dylan.
All right. That's enough of that. I'm like Ralph Tresvant when Johnny Gill joined the band. I'm only splitting it 4 ways. I ain't splitting it 5 ways again. Yes, that is Dylan.
That is Dylan Prime.
That is Dylan.
There you go. That was for you, Erica, and all the missionaries. And the Micheaux mission would not be the Micheaux mission if we didn't have Dylan. So
when we come up with the salute, we'll salute Dylan with it.
We will.
There you go.
We'll test it on Dylan.
There you go.
That's what we'll do. All right. And that is our emails. That is all the emails that we're reading.
Are you just gonna carry this bit on, huh? Gonna lean into the bit, huh?
Now, as we move on,
yes,
it is now time for the top 5.
Top 5.
Top 5. Who's your top 5? My top 5 is. 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 My top 5 is.
Apparently, Dylan has set fire to the place. Coming up on camera.
It's a disco inferno outside.
Oh my God. Young Chunk's on fire. Oh my God. Dylan's on screen. Top 5, where I come up with a list. I read it to Vincent, and he shares with all of us his scintillating commentary on said list. Keeping it in theme, Vincent, we are going to be reviewing the Book of Clarence.
Yes, we are.
Tonight. And this film purports to be like a biblical satire.
A bit.
So I wanted to look at satirical, funny, biblical films that have fun around the whole idea of the Christ character.
Oh, I like it.
Specifically.
Okay, these are some of my favorite movies.
Well, maybe not.
Let's see how many.
Because we're going to be going in descending order.
Okay.
From the best
to the worst.
Possibly the most.
Oh, interesting. I'm wondering what you have up top. What do you think the best film in this subgenre is?
Well, that would be at number 5.
From
1979.
Okay, you're around the right time.
Monty Python's The Life of Brian.
There it is. It doesn't get any better than that.
A British black comedy film that stars the comedy troupe Monty Python, Graham Chapman, John Cleese, Terry Gilliam, Eric Idle, Terry Jones, and Michael Palin, that tells the story of Brian Cohen.
That's right.
A young Judean who was born on the same day.
Yep.
In fact, next
I'll
door
say he's a neighbor.
to Jesus, and is subsequently mistaken for the Messiah. This film's themes of religious satire were controversial at the time of its release, drawing accusations of blasphemy and protests from some religious groups. 39 local authorities in the United Kingdom imposed either an outright ban or an X rating on the film. And some countries, including Ireland and Norway, banned its showing altogether. And in a few of these, such as Italy, bans lasted over a decade.
Always look on the bright side of life.
The film, however, was a box office success, the fourth highest grossing film in the United Kingdom in 1979, and the highest grossing of any British film in the United States that year. It has remained popular and has been named as the greatest comedy film of all time by several magazines and television networks, and has received a 96% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. In a 2006 poll, Life of Brian was ranked first on Channel 4's list of the 50 greatest comedy films.
Yeah.
What do you got to say about the Life of Brian?
Oh, I love the Life of Brian. I love the Life of Brian. I think it's like core programming for like my sense of humor and love of film. Yeah, I love Life of Brian.
It's funny.
Oh, it's and good.
Yes.
Like, I think there's funny, but then I think like the bones of the thing. You know, we were talking about something like Blazing Saddles, where obviously it's funny, obviously all this stuff, but when you just look at the bones of the thing, the performances, the tempo, the way it's shot, the costume, yeah, absolutely. I'd have been angry if you had something above this.
No.
Yeah. All right, what's right underneath it?
Number 4. I don't know if you're familiar with this film from 1971
Okay.
called The Thorn.
I'm not.
It's a biting satire of the commercialization of religion, and also features the film debut of one Bette Midler
Okay.
as a contemporary Virgin Mary in a comedy about raising the Messiah in the modern world.
Oh, that's
Her husband Joseph is an inventor obsessed with creating holy appliances, but his claim to fame comes when he invents the crucifix.
Oh.
Yes. The Thorn, which was also known as the greatest story overtold or the divine Mr. J, actually premiered in Detroit, remained as an underground film until it was later released by National Entertainment Corporation as the Divine Mr. J a few years later to capitalize on Bette Midler's growing fame as the Divine Miss M. The premiere showed under the new title at the Festival Theater in New York City in 1974, was picketed by Bette Midler's agent, who also challenged the film's title and marketing in court. The film received very poor reviews and soon closed.
And you have this right under the Life of Brian?
Well, remember, we're going in descending order.
Right. So you're saying the next 3 films aren't as good as this?
Right. Well, yeah.
Okay. Well, what's number 3?
You're not familiar with The Thorn?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I thought that was an interesting kind of play.
No, it
on
is
the
interesting.
story of
Yeah, I'm
Christ. It actually sounds interesting.
Right.
Right. So that's what's really. This is also descending order, but sounds
Have you seen this?
I tried. I tried watching it. I couldn't get through it. It's not good.
And you're saying the next 3 films were worse than this?
Well, they maybe have even more satirical fun with the whole idea of Christ. Whether or not they are necessarily worse, the number 1 is definitively worse.
Okay.
I tried watching number 1.
All right. Well, what's next? I'm confused about this order, but maybe as you talk, it'll illuminate. It'll be a light bulb above my head like Clarence.
Maybe. I don't think so, though. Number 3.
Okay.
From 2018.
Okay.
The Last Hangover. This was a Brazilian comedy film that was released to Netflix. The participants of the Last Supper had a night of drunkenness, and Jesus Christ disappears. The apostles then need to find him and unravel what happened the night before in this Brazilian comedy film, The Last Hangover. Kind of like a play.
Yeah, I get it. Just like that. Yeah.
Over on the film,
Right,
the Hangover.
and then they put last in front of it.
Put the last
because it's sort of like the Last Supper.
Like, right.
And then
But it's the last
it's
hangover.
Last Hangover.
Yes.
Right. What is a film that they came up with the title before anyone thought about how they were going to make the film? Right.
They came up with the title before they made the film.
Yeah.
So that was The Last Hangover
Right. All right.
from 2018.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Tried watching it.
Well,
It's well made.
I'm glad.
Well-ish made.
Well, you're a good man, Charlie Brown.
And was a little successful.
Okay.
Because number
In
two
Brazil.
is the sequel.
Oh,
The First Temptation of Christ.
are you really eating up time with these two films?
Wait a minute. The First Temptation of Christ from 2019. Jesus returns home after 40 days in the desert,
Okay.
where a surprise 30th birthday party awaits him. At the party, Mary and Joseph reveal to Jesus that his true father is God. This special this special has faced backlash over its satirical depictions, which implies that Jesus has a gay lover and that Mary smokes marijuana. Over 2 million people have petitioned online for the movie's removal and advocated boycotts of Netflix over blasphemy, with the creators maintaining that the protests are actually homophobic. For the First Temptation of Christ from 2019.
Yeah. Well, that's certainly something that apparently happened.
And number one, because I can see.
So I guess we just not going to talk about Jesus Christ Superstar, huh?
Well, no, because I don't think Jesus Christ Superstar is satire.
It's not satire. It's just.
Would you say that's
It's
satire?
not satire. It's more of a retelling.
Yeah, it's a more retelling. It's a musical.
With
It's a
hippies.
different setting, but
Sure,
it's not
sure.
satire.
That's fair.
You know,
That's fair.
So that's the thing.
All right.
These are satirical.
Oh, satire is doing a lot of work in this sentence, but okay, go ahead.
Well,
What's number one?
satire is never doing more work than it is in our number one film.
Oh my God! If this is the third in the trilogy,
No.
okay, go
This
ahead.
is from 2003.
Okay,
This is an American film.
okay.
Ultra Christ. This film, directed by Carrie Douglas Dye and starring Jonathan C. Green as Jesus. Jesus Christ returns to modern-day New York City to fulfill biblical prophecies and usher in 2,000 years of godly peace. When he discovers that he is unable to relate to modern youth, he dons a superhero costume and appears to the world as Ultra Christ.
Yeah, well, look, yeah, sure, there you go. All right. All right. I don't know what you want from me.
It's not a good film.
I don't know what you. Yes.
Not a good film. But I think that sounds like an interesting idea for a movie.
I guess.
That Jesus comes back and is trying to relate.
I think mining for religious outrage is a cheap ploy for creatives.
Well, do you think they're mining?
100%. 100%. We're going to make this stuff get some negative publicity, and it's just publicity. And like, I feel like blasphemy should be interesting.
I mean,
like
but-
if you're going to be blasphemous, be interesting.
Okay, but do you think that
Like The Exorcist arguably is blasphemous, but it's so good.
do you think they were mining for the
Absolutely.
bad publicity?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you think Martin Scorsese was mining for the publicity with the Last Temptation?
No. I think it's the fever dream of a crazy old man.
He
Like,
wasn't that old when he made the movie.
yeah, but that's old man fever dream.
Really?
Yeah.
I
Oh,
thought
yeah.
It was an interesting premise for that film.
I think it is. Yeah.
So you're not a fan of The Last Temptation of Christ?
I think it's interesting for what it is. Like I think these sort of depictions of Christ in this sort of very I think this focus on the crucifixion and the pain part of it. Like I do think there is, at the risk of stepping on toes, I think there is a certain type of Catholic that fetishizes that and is really into it.
Okay.
And I think Martin Scorsese's Last Temptation of Christ is like the film version of that. Like, people who like really get into, and then the nails in the wrist and the the pain and the stabbing and the, and the self-flagellation, like they really, really get into it. Where, I mean, I don't, like, you ever know people who talk about it and like you can tell they're a little aroused?
Yeah, I get what
Like
you're
you see what right? Whereas like it's almost torture porn.
Yeah.
So, but that is a vision. Like that is his legitimate vision. Like I think he actually believed this. Like I always admire people who have conviction, even if I find their conviction strange. But that's your vision, as opposed to these, like this sounds like somebody said, we can raise $80,000. How can we flip it into $7 million? Like, how can we flip this and get it on Netflix for a couple of months and then flip it again?
No.
But, I haven't seen these films, maybe.
Yeah, you haven't.
I've not seen these films. Maybe the filmmaker really does think that Jesus having a gay lover and Mary smoking marijuana is something that is an outgrowth of their creative vision.
So what films were you looking for to be on this guy? I see on the chat
When
Ron
you said
Covington,
satire,
he mentions The Magic Christian from 1971.
which I'm not familiar with. I thought he's been around a lot this month. I thought History of the World might show up.
Yeah,
Part one.
I thought about that, but it didn't deal with solely his.
Right, it wasn't solely that, but the parts that are so funny. I can't think of anything else off the top of my head, but
Yes, that's the thing. I actually thought that there might be more,
Right.
like more American fare,
right.
but there really wasn't. And then I guess maybe that's like this whole reverence you have for
Right.
for the figure, but yeah, it's end of the year.
But to be clear, like I don't think I'm overly religious, but I am anti-dickhead. Like these people who kind of just go out of their way to offend religious people. Like you go out of your way to offend. Like what's the end game? Like just go out of your way to offend people. Yeah. So
Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
That's the top five.
That's top five.
We're going to move on to the Game of Kings
The Game
now,
of Kings.
which is 6 Degrees of Derville Martin.
All right.
6 Degrees of Derville Martin, where I have two actors. I present them to Vincent, and he has 6 films or less to connect them to our Jesus, Derville Martin. Vincent, keeping it in theme, these are 2 actors who I'm sure you've looked up because they are stars of the film that we are reviewing, The Book of Clarence.
See, as we talked about before the show, I've been running around all day, so I didn't look them up. So.
Oh, very good.
All right.
This should be fun.
Who we got?
In 6 films or less, connect Derville Martin to
2.
Marianne Jean Baptiste.
Yeah. Lynn, I don't know. Because she's British. I feel like I see her on TV a lot. And I know she's in stuff.
She is.
But she's one of those great actresses. First of all, she hasn't had enough roles that I've seen where she's front and center.
That is very true.
You know, oftentimes she's in the background. And then, like I said, I see her on TV. Yeah, you got to help me. What was the last thing she's in?
Well, the last movie that she was in was from this year, Hard Truths.
Oh, wait, that's the one that's coming out. Because that's the one with her and another. It's another sister in that, right?
Oh yeah, that's it premiered in September, but it'll be coming out in 2025.
Right, I was actually looking for that.
Her and Michelle Austin.
Oh, and I don't even know who Michelle Austin is. I just see the picture of her with I thought it was like Ingenue Ellis, but okay.
Yeah, she's in that.
All right, well, give me some. Yeah, give me something else.
She's in the Book of Clarence.
Yes, she is. She's good too.
She is very good.
Yeah.
She does a voice
Uh-huh.
in The Sea Beast, which was on Netflix.
Oh yeah, with the little girl. Mm-hmm. Is that Carl Urban?
Carl Urban is in that.
Okay, bet. So that's how you. Okay, so all right. So this is what you do. I could do Carl Urban. I could actually get through the Marvel Drek and get Carl Urban. I don't want to get to Carl Urban. So Derville Martin. Well, let's just go ahead and go. So Derville Martin is in
Dabba Doo.
Yabba Dabba Doo. How am I going to get to Carl Urban? Oh, here you go. Because we mentioned him earlier, and I was halfway looking for him in this. So, you know, Derville Martin is, of course, in Five on the Black Hand Side with Dick Anthony Williams, who's in Mo Better Blues with Denzel Washington. Denzel Washington is in The Inside Man with Chiwetel Ejiofor. Chiwetel Ejiofor is in a film that we both enjoyed a great deal, Z for Zachariah.
Yes.
With Chris Evans. No, not Chris Evans.
It's a Chris Pine?
Chris Pine.
Yeah.
Chris Pine. It's my favorite Chris Pine movie. And then Chris Pine is, of course, in the various and sundry Star Treks.
Yes.
With Carl Urban.
Carl Urban.
And then Carl Urban is in, what's the name of this?
The Sea Beast.
The Sea Beast with
Marianne
Jean Baptiste. Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good, Vincent. Well done.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah. It felt like Chiwetel Ejiofor should have been in this.
Should have been
in the Book of Clarence.
Yeah.
Like somewhere.
You could see him.
Like somewhere with his hair kind of twisty
yeah.
and a beard.
Yeah. Well, you could actually kind of like see him in the Jesus role.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and the actor that they got, Nicholas Pinnock,
was fantastic. I mean, you could have seen him in the Judas role.
Yeah, you could have. Well, you definitely could have seen him as one of the apostles. Definitely.
Yeah.
All right. Very good, Vincent.
All
right. Number two. Again.
From the cast.
From the cast of the Book of Clarence, which means that you can't use the Book of Clarence.
Can't use the Book of Clarence.
And this is an actor who actually, he shows up in the Book of Clarence, but I actually just saw a recent film of his that he was absolutely great in. And it was a movie that I loved. It was another highlight of my weekend. I don't want to give it away to the end. And 6 films or less connect Derville Martin to Jeymes McAvoy.
Oh, okay. Okay. You know, the X-Men probably the easiest way. But how about we do this? How about we do it like this? Derville Martin is in, and I know I'm skipping around and get to them much faster than the way I'm going. But Derville Martin is in we'll just go into it. So Derville Martin is I like this. So Derville Martin is in Sheba Baby with Pam Grier.
Mm-hmm.
Pam Grier is in Jackie Brown with Samuel L. Jackson. And then Samuel L. Jackson is in Glass with Jeymes McAvoy.
Very good.
Because Glass comes after Split.
Yes.
Right, because that was a Split thing.
Yes.
Right, because that you figure out that Split is a sequel
to Glass.
You figure out to Unbreakable.
To Unbreakable.
And then
right.
Glass is the last part of the trilogy.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Which I have not seen.
Which? Split or Glass?
I've not seen Glass.
Really?
I know. I realized as I was talking, I never actually saw Glass.
Wow.
I know.
But you've seen Split.
I saw Split.
Did you enjoy Split?
Oh, I like Split.
Okay.
That's what I know him as. Like, he the Split dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Glass is interesting.
See, and that's why, like, no one had, like, when I say I haven't seen Glass, people say, oh, really? And I say, yeah, I know. And then nobody says, oh, you need to go see Glass. Like, no one has said to me, you need to go see Glass.
Yeah.
No one. Here's your opportunity right now if you were to say it.
The movie with Jeymes McAvoy that I saw this weekend, though,
Okay.
that was actually very good, was Speak No Evil.
Okay, not familiar. I think I heard it.
Speak No Evil is a film. It just came out this year, but it is now on streaming.
Mm-hmm.
It follows an American family who are invited to stay at a remote farmhouse by a British couple for the weekend.
See, right.
That's all you need to know.
See, right. There are no black people in this. Is it?
Of course not.
Don't say, of course not, like we didn't watch Get Out.
Yes, there are no black people.
So, in other words, this is called That's What You Get.
All I will say,
Find out the movie.
all I will say was that somewhere about 3/4 into the movie, after watching like every one of the characters in the film do something like just annoyingly questionable, my partner like just it announced to the vacant living room, I need them all to die.
Look, that's what you get. You know, that's my theory about how Freddy Krueger and Jason became anti-heroes in the 80s.
Oh, because
Because the people were so stupid
Yeah, it
that
just
as
became-
the audience, we start thinking, well, hell, I hope he kills all of them.
yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Remote invite. I mean, did they know the people?
You're never going to watch.
No. Did they know the couple that invited them to the remote village?
Well, here's the thing. They met them on vacation.
Oh, Lord, have mercy.
They met them on vacation, and then the couple's like, hey, we had such a great time on vacation. Do you want to come visit us at our farmhouse? And
In the remote hills of...
Vincent, so they're driving to the farmhouse, and you see them leave their houses all nice and sunny.
Like, at any point does anyone say, hey, have you ever seen Wicker Man?
It's all nice and sunny, right?
Sure.
It's
Because the sun's up.
husband, wife, and their daughter. They're like, la-di-da, we're going to go. And the scene cuts. It's pitch black.
Because now the sun's down.
they're riding up this windy, dusty road.
Oh my.
Where you could tell they're miles from civilization, pulling up onto, and it's not just a farmhouse. It's like basically like this farm, like huge farm, quasi barn estate in the middle of nowhere in Britain.
How far into the journey did someone say, "Hey, I'm not getting a cell phone signal"? Like, did anyone actually say that out loud?
For some reason, I don't remember the cell phone signal actually being as much a moment in the movie, a calling point. But there is a scene where the mother goes to look for her daughter because the daughter is because the couple they're going to visit have a son, so the kids are sleeping in their own room, and the mother goes looking for the daughter.
So they let their kids sleep in the room with the stranger child.
Well, okay, it's the son they met, and the kids they seem to get along. So the mother, but it's the middle of the night, so the mother goes looking for the daughter. I forget why. She goes to the room. Her daughter's not there.
No.
But neither is the son. So she goes to the other couple's room to like, hey, I can't find the kids. Knocks on the door. No one answers. Opens up the door. The couple are asleep. Their daughter is in bed with the other mother, and she's holding on to her like she's her daughter. I can see your brain just going. I actually think you might enjoy this movie just for the fun of like hollering at the screen. Because it was entertaining in that way. It was. We had a good time with the movie. I hope I'm not getting into trouble saying this, but we had a good time with the movie. We really did. Speak no evil.
Sure. All right.
You can make that a double feature with Ultra Christ.
I just need people to make better decisions with their own lives.
All right. Well, that is 6 Degrees of Derville Martin.
Yes.
It is now time. You can prepare yourself, Vincent, as we move into the review portion of our show. Sit back, relax, get yourself a cup of tea, maybe a nice tasty chocolate chip cookie or a piece of chocolate, as Vincent and I prepare to bring you our review of the Book of Clarence.
(2023's) The Book of Clarence.
Don't read anything into that.
I'll try that again.
Mic dropped again. Go ahead.
2023's The Book of Clarence. A down on his luck man struggles to find a better life for his family while fighting to free himself of debt. Captivated by the power and glory of the rising Messiah, Jesus, he risks everything to carve his own path to a divine life, ultimately discovering that the redemptive power of belief may be the only way out. Directed and written by Jeymes Samuel, The Book of Clarence stars R.J. Cyler, Caleb McLaughlin, Anna Diop, James McAvoy, Omar Sy, and in the lead role as Clarence, LaKeith Stanfield. The Book of Clarence, here as we celebrate the last episode of the Micheaux mission in 2024, was the choice of Lynn Webb. Lynn, how would you like to begin our conversation about the book of Clarence?
If you watched the trailer of this movie, especially considering that we were talking about the life of Brian from Monty Python, if you watched the trailer of this film, and I watched it again just to make sure that I was not misremembering, the book of Clarence looks like it's going to be this wildly satirical, biblical comedy take on the life of Jesus and just, the Bible and religion of the time, Christianity. It looks like it's going to take all of these things and put them into this blender, add a taste of satire, but then add the Black experience on top of that, and give you more or less, the Black man's Mighty Python's Life of Brian.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
The trailer sets you up for that, right? And when you look at the cast, LaKeith Stanfield, R.J. Seiler, David Aiello, Marianne Jean Baptiste, Alfre Woodard, you're thinking, okay, this might be fun to see this cast having some fun, messing around with stuff, because they definitely had the gravitas, but I could definitely also see them being a little funny with stuff. LaKeith Stanfield definitely has, shown that he's got like a way with dry humor.
Very dry.
Going back to Sorry to Bother You. So. And his role in The Harder They Fall. So you're like, all right, I'm set up for this. Jeymes Samuel, as you said, aka the Bullets, as his creative name, definitely knows his way with a story, painting pretty pictures in a film. I would like to see him messing around with some satirical play. I'm in on this. And when the movie opens up, you're like, okay, I like this, because the movie opens up with this really grand set piece.
Right.
You realize early on that this movie is filmed in location in Italy. There is this grand set piece that is practical effects of more or less a chariot race between Clarence and Elijah and Mary Magdalene, played by none other than Tiana Taylor.
Yes, sir.
Which, talk about spot on casting.
Look.
So, and it's these horse-drawn carriages. They're racing through the lower city of Jerusalem. I'm like, okay, I'm in on this, right? They're being 100% Black in their experience, and how they're being depicted, and how they're talking, and it's kind of got a little bit of that biblical thee thou to it, but also with a more urban slant. They puffing on some weed in this movie. I'm like, okay, I am with this. This is what I sat down for. But in the midst of that thrilling action, I'm noticing a couple of things. I'm noticing that LaKeith Stanfield, even though he's on this chariot, even though this chariot is racing through the streets, LaKeith Stanfield has a way of, he has a way of almost always being like downshift in his gears and when he's acting, right? And I always find myself waiting for him to, when is he going to like go to another gear, go to another, raise the level up a little bit. And in this grand action piece where Elijah, R.J. Seiler, who is somebody who boom, pops off the screen every time you see him. He's there. He's right in this moment. Tiana Taylor proving that, I know she's a bit of a singer. You need to act. Somebody needs to build a whole series with Tiana Taylor, because in just what is relatively small role of Mary Magdalene in this movie, she makes a meal of this, and she is having so much fun in this opening scene. But LaKeith Stanfield, even in that opening scene, seems like he's in a little bit of another movie, and I don't know whether or not that is his read on the character, or that is the director directing him to have that read on the character. But that follows suit throughout this film, which is satirical, which does have satire to it. I don't think it wears its satire on its sleeve so much as it's kind of like right underneath the jacket, and it's just flashing you every little bit. But it's there. But I think LaKeith Stanfield in this role, he is in a speed that just doesn't match it. I just don't feel that where I felt like his casting was spot on. I think something about his delivery just left me cold. The story of Clarence, who is basically this hustler in lower city Jerusalem, and a hardcore, more or less, atheist, like doesn't believe in the concept of God at all. Never mind that there's some guy walking around Jesus who's got this gang of apostles, rolling with him, watching his back. He doesn't believe any of that, but he sees it as a means to, okay, this might be a way for me to make some coins, get out of this debt, which I don't think is ever 100 adequately explained to my ear, like why he owes this money.
Oh, because he lost the race.
No, because he lost the race. But I don't think it's. Yes, I learned that. I did learn that. I don't think it is as well spelled out in the beginning as it could have been. Right. I did learn it over time. But that's just me. But he finds out that he can prop himself up as a Messiah, and basically con people into these tricks, like pretending to bring people back to life, pretending to heal people. And all these people are Elijah, and that story, that idea, it's not the same as the life of Brian, but it's along that same path for the life of Brian. But it's played for some comedic effect, to be fair. But for some reason, the comedy doesn't 100% land with me. And I think the reason why is because Jeymes Samuel's, understandably an artist, understandably a storyteller, wants to, put this satire out there, but he also wants to give you something to think about. He wants you to think about Christianity. He wants to think about your relationship with God, your relationship with, yourself, who you are, what it actually means to be a God-loving or God-fearing person, or just a good person.
Right. He's
asking a lot of those questions, and those are very interesting questions to ask. And the title character, Clarence, is going through a lot of this existential crisis as he goes through this film and is finding his way as this false Messiah, and all that befalls him because of how he's propping himself up as this false Messiah. And that's interesting, but side by side with the satire that I think is on play in this film, I think the tones just don't work with one another. I think they bump up more than they actually comment on each other. There is the love interest of Anna Diop that Clarence has it's trying to create a relationship with. Anna Diop as the love interest is also the sister of the man with whom she owes money. We've seen this before. Anna Diop is a person that we both have enjoyed in other work. I enjoy seeing her in this film, and what she's doing is fine in this film. I don't feel her character is that fleshed out in this film. I don't think that she is given as much to do as you might think. I know you said that you would love to see them, excised from this in a true rom-com. Yes, they've got a chemistry with one another. I will grant you that. But I think it's very fleeting, the moments that it appears in this film. One of the best scenes in this film and one of the best casting is Alfre Woodard as Mary, the mother of Jesus.
Yes.
And the scene where Clarence, in trying to develop his Messiah character, goes to sit with Mary to ask her, "Hey, can you tell me about Jesus and how he does his tricks?" And she's like, "They're not tricks." And the way she just comes at him, and especially as she explains how she was a virgin, and he's like, "You really were a virgin? Like, are you really like questioning it?" That is maybe my favorite scene in the entire movie. And Alfre Woodard is perfectly cast in that. She's outright funny. David Oyelowo as John the Baptist, another funny film moment when he baptizes Clarence. That is a funny moment. Those are laugh out loud moments, and satire doesn't necessarily have to be laugh out loud, but those are moments where this movie matched the tone that the trailer promised me. And I can understand that trailers sometimes pull a bait and switch on you, to get you into the room. But I think that this film, which was a relatively inexpensive film, it only cost $40 million. But I think one of the reasons why this film only grossed $6 million in the theaters is because a lot of people may have felt like they like, hey, this is not the movie that I was promised.
Sure.
Now, if you sit in it, it is a movie that gives you things to think about.
Yes.
And it definitely did give me things to think about. And it is a gorgeous movie. It is a gorgeous movie. I'm not knocking Jeymes Samuel as a visionary storyteller. I think there are some directional flourishes that he maybe, has a little bit too much fun with, but I allowed it because I think this movie plays more like a farce, or more farcical or fanciful than the satire that it promises. And in that vein, a lot of those flourishes actually work. Some of the irises dropping out, the music choices in the film, those are actually some good moments. Some of them I think maybe needlessly slow down the pacing a little bit, but they're still very visually stunning to take in. But all that being said, at the end of the day, Omar Sy, I think, is another person who steals every scene that he's in this film as Barabbas.
Yes.
And his story, I'm interested in his. I could follow Omar Sy's Barabbas and have him walk the earth with Elijah, and I would be there for the book of Barabbas and Elijah all day. But at the end of the day, the book of Clarence is a book that I willfully opened, but I wasn't 100% satisfied with it in the end.
Okay. I disagree. I liked I enjoyed this film a great deal. I will say this, I don't remember watching a trailer for it, frankly. So going into it, I think I thought it was just going to be a Jeymes Samuel film, and it's LaKeith Stanfield, so I figured it'd be funny moments, but which you are characterizing as him being in a downshift. I think LaKeith Stanfield, and I'll go back to when we first met him in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. I think there is always a thoughtfulness, an interiority, like there's always something going on. And I think this character, Clarence, as you pointed out, goes on this existential journey where he really ends at a space different than the one he begins in. And this kind of journey of this man who, as you said, realizes being godlike is not necessarily connected to or judged by the miraculous. Mm-hmm. I thought he embodied this character really well. Like I really bought in to Clarence. I love this story. I love this sort of, I think there are satirical moments. And maybe I'm splitting hairs, but this Clarence journey where it's almost like a shadow Jesus story, where he gathers followers. He has his own Mary Magdalene in Anna Diop's character. Like he has his mother. He, spoiler, has a crucifixion at the end. Mm-hmm. In that way, it made me think of A Life of Brian. Obviously it's not just straight ahead funny like Life of Brian, but I love LaKeith Stanfield. Much like you, I thought this entire cast was fantastic. Everyone you mentioned, I'd like to mention they obviously play him a little to the back, but I thought Nicholas Pinnock as Jesus was great. Along those lines, I thought that Michael Ward as Judas was a real standout. I loved the apostles. Like
what you see of them though.
But I saw enough of them. Again, look, I think Jeymes Samuel is assuming that if you watch the Book of Clarence, you have a general knowledge. And maybe this is unfair. Maybe this is unfair. Like maybe I'm showing my own just sort of Catholic school, been around church. I could name the apostles. Mm-hmm. Like I know, Thomas, Doubting Thomas. Like if you know Thomas and they call him Doubting Thomas and you know who Peter is, like I think Jeymes Samuels assumes you have sort of a passing knowledge of the apostles. And if you do, I think it's enough there. Like you hit the beats, like you know who's who. I love the flourish that Judas, every time he has this bracelet, these beads, and they actually sound like a rattlesnake.
Yeah.
Every time he makes it. Much like you, I thought the sense of place was spot on, filmed on location in Italy, and it felt like
you feel the difference.
You felt like the Middle East. Love Caleb McLaughlin, love Rice Hall. Again, just the entire cast I loved. I think my critique of Jeymes Samuel from The Harder They Fall, and I think I may have said this almost verbatim. I said the danger that I think Jeymes Samuel plays with in his choices is that there'll be more sizzle than steak. Mm-hmm. Like he's very stylized in The Harder They Fall. And I think part of what saves The Harder They Fall is that the cast is so good that they kind of hold it down. I think the cast in this film is just as good as the cast in The Harder They Fall. And I think he pulls back a bit more. Like there are moments in here where you see a little bit of that Harder They Fall flourish with the sweeping shots, with the music choices, this, that, and the other. But it's not as much. In his defense, I think The Harder They Fall is basically informed by the spaghetti Western.
Yes.
Whereas this is informed by, as much as we talk about The Life of Brian, you said it with with the chariot race. So, there's a little bit of Spartacus in this. It's a little bit
of like all of those biblical
films.
Ben-Hur,
but it's just black.
Yeah.
Which I loved. And I thought it had a lot more heart than I thought it would have. Like I really did think it was going. I think it starts a little light and frothy, but then it goes on. Jeymes McAvee isn't in it. I love McAvoy. I thought it was great, and I have to say, in full disclosure, when I was sort of taught about Jesus and the apostles, this is sort of how I thought about it. Like, it's Jesus and these kind of hooligans that are kind of, speaking to the downtrodden, speaking to people. And then the Romans are basically cops. Mm-hmm. Like, they're just cops. And I love the choice to frame the Romans in this way, where it's always they're asking for ID. And there's a wonderful moment where one of the Romans is trying to kill Barabbas, and he says, "Oh, look at him. He's trying to kill me. I fear for my life," justifying it in these ways that you see it. When the flourishes do happen, I think they're earned. There's a moment where they use the song Nights Over Egypt.
Yes, that's a great moment.
That made me grin because it was just this great stylized moment. And I really, really enjoyed it. And speaking of Jeymes Samuel following Barabbas, you got the sense that he wanted to do a straight ahead film about Jesus and the apostles. Like, I think, again, I thought Nicholas Pinnock's Jesus had the image of like, what is it like to have this dude roaming around who people are worshiping? You're not so sure about him. Like, there's like the first moment you see a miracle, it is actually kind of off-putting. It is actually kind of otherworldly, where he kind of stops these rocks mid-air, and there's a bit, and I like my Jesus to be a little bit of a smart ass, where he makes this great Jezebel joke and donkey joke that is really funny. So I bought in completely. There's a bit where Benedict Cumberbatch shows up for a second.
Cumberbatch. You and white men's names. Well, no.
There's a moment where
asked and answered.
Where Benedict Cumberbatch shows up, and I thought that was I was like, all right, that was a little bit too smart. Like, I didn't need this moment,
and you don't need that moment, and it never really pays off. Well, that is like a Life of Brian.
Well, it's. I guess he felt like he had to address the white Jesus thing, but by the time he actually lands on the white Jesus moment, I was like, you don't have to do this.
Yeah.
Like we're an hour and 45 minutes in. Like, we don't need the white Jesus joke.
But you know what? I will say that I agree. I don't think he needed it. I don't think it necessarily lands the way that he wants it to, especially by the time it does show up.
Right.
But it did remind me a little bit of like, oh, this is you're doing like, this is something Quentin Tarantino would have done, like he did in Inglourious Bastards when they kill Hitler. So in that, I appreciated the audacity of it, and especially since this white Jesus is actually giving commentary to it, it's like. Damn, I just got clean. Like, and I don't want to give away the joke because this is a good joke. But so I appreciated the audacity of it. But you're right. You just don't need it at that moment. At that time, by then you're kind of like streamlined it to the end.
And to your point about tone, by the time, like, this is a joke that should have been in the front of the movie.
Because
by the time you get the white Jesus joke, it's now turned into a character study.
Exactly. Because by now, Clarence is being crucified.
Right.
He's going through the passion
Right.
damn near.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
but again, that's why this movie, like the tone, I feel is like,
But that was the only tonal moment that
yeah, but that's a big shift.
I mean,
That's a big
it's
shift
like
when
a
it does
3-minute moment.
Okay, but it's 3-minute moment in the middle of, like you said,
Right.
the crucifixion.
Right, but
so
but that was my only real tonal
and
misstep.
I guess it was also a part of me in that wanting to see at least another gear from LaKeith Stanfield.
Have you ever seen him in another? I think this is his gear. Like, you want LaKeith Stanfield to be someone besides who he is.
No. I feel that in Sorry to Bother You, I think you do see a little other gears in him. I honestly do. At the end, when that movie gets a little bit more heightened and chaotic, I think, no, is he ever going to be, manic or Jerry Lewis or anything like that? No. But I do think you do see another gear. And in this film, I was waiting to see that other gear. I'm not saying he's got to be off the wall, but I'm just waiting. I guess I was waiting to actually see the moment where his character makes that turn. I understand it does happen. It happens story-wise, but I guess I don't 100%. I didn't feel it 100% from him.
Yeah, I felt it. I did.
I didn't. I wanted to. I honestly did want to, because I appreciated the questions that this film was asking. These are questions that I asked myself. I ask these questions almost every night when I'm thinking about, where my parents are, because they were not religious people. Mm-hmm. I mean, they weren't, atheists by any stretch of the imagination, but they lived their lives. Their viewpoint was, I'm a good person.
Right.
And what will be, and you're like, hey, I can get behind that, Mom. I can get behind that, Dad. But then there's this other part of you, like you said, the Catholic school upbringing, in the church, you're like, but if, so I think this movie actually asks a lot of those questions, or definitely delves in that area in interesting ways, and I appreciated that, especially in, you talked about the miracle of Jesus stopping the stoning of Mary Magdalene. Elijah sees that,
right,
and that's like this awakening for Elijah, and
Mary Magdalene.
And Mary Magdalene.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Mary Magdalene. She goes off with Jesus, then, but and Elijah tries to impart that to Clarence, and Clarence is dismissive of him. And after that, I never saw the moment where the worm, it turned for him. And I don't know that it necessarily 100%.
I think it's during that montage with the money, when they're making all the money. And I think it's all on his face.
I didn't see it. I didn't see it.
Yeah.
I didn't see it. I wanted to. I really did. I didn't.
Now, I also think it's funny that you blacks bullied Jeymes Samuel so much about Zazie Beetz that he went and found the brownest sisters he could find to be in the movie. He said, "You blacks are not going to yell at me again. I'm you blacks."
I'm about to say, by you blacks, you mean Vincent.
I'm you blacks. Anna Diab's fawn brown self. First Tiana Taylor showed up, and then Anna Diab showed up, and I said, yeah, I guess he heard us.
Yes, he did hear us. He did hear us. I just wish she was given a little bit more to do. I did like Marianne Jean Baptiste in her in what she does.
She's
as his mother.
Yeah,
I think she does good work.
I mean, how much are the women around in the Gospels though?
Yeah, but
I think it really is sort of mirroring.
Okay, but that's the gospel. That doesn't mean that you can't do something else.
No, we're mirroring. It's a mirror.
Well, I don't know. I just would have wished her to be given a little bit more.
I mean, yes, Lynn, I agree with you. Anna Diop should have been on the screen more and talked more and had more to do.
Oh no, I would like her character to be fleshed out a little.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. But I think this is the character.
No, I don't.
This is the look.
Oh, it's the character. Yes, it's the character. I'm saying it's not much of a character.
But I
think it's more of a caricature.
I mean, you can say that about Mary Magdalene and Mary in the Gospels.
Yeah, but I think that for whatever reason, I think the whole idea of Mary Magdalene, even though they call her like, a whore and stuff like that in this movie, you don't see that in this movie.
No.
And what you actually see her is like this alive woman.
Right, this alive kind of badass.
Right. So I think that is putting a character to her, showing a different side.
And I think there's a version of this movie where you don't even get that.
No, there is a version, but really in this version, you do. Is there another version where you don't? Sure. But in this version, there is.
I don't think you're being fair. Like, I think you're asking for something that was never going to be there. Like again, I think if you buy this is a shadow, this is a mirror of the Gospels in the way we understand the Gospels. Mm-hmm. Then as a mirror, you want to reflect something that's not in the original. Like Mary Magdalene does not have a huge role in the Gospels.
No, I understand that.
So if I'm a mirror of what's there, you say, well, I want you to be something different than the reflection. But I just told you I'm just going to be a reflection.
But you're talking about I think the Mary Magdalene character in this movie is more than what is in the Gospels. And I appreciate
even that. And you're saying you want more than that. And I'm saying what you got.
I don't want more from Mary Magdalene. I want more from Anna Diop's character. She's not Mary Magdalene.
I'm sorry. She's the mirror Mary Magdalene. Like Mary Magdalene is Jesus's Mary Magdalene. Anna Diop's character of Verenia is Clarence's Mary Magdalene.
Yes.
And I'm saying that as Clarence's Mary Magdalene, she's a mirror of Mary Magdalene. Say that 3 times real fast. And Mary Magdalene in the Gospels gets about as much quote unquote screen time as this character.
Okay, she gets probably as much screen time, but Mary Magdalene in the Gospels is written about in a way that you get a sense of who the woman is.
I mean, I got a sense of who this woman was.
I didn't get really a sense of who this woman
sense, again, like.
So who was Verenia?
She is a woman who is a hairdresser who has feelings for Clarence, but she has obligations to her brother. She also thinks Clarence.
Does she have obligations to her brother?
I mean,
she has obligations.
I mean, she has loyalty, whatever word you want to use. It's her brother.
She's got loyalty to her brother.
Okay, loyalty to her. She has loyalty to her brother. You get the sense she likes Clarence, but as she says, Clarence can't get out of his own way until he becomes fully who he has to be, at which point she then is drawn to him more. But
that is still all of her in relation to him, and that's not her.
No, because that's who she is. Like, that's the character. She's the quote-unquote love interest. Like, you want something, I'm not going to say it's unrealistic, but in a film with all these, I mean, I don't know how important it is.
I'm not saying it's more. I'm not saying it's the greatest thing. Like this.
Like you like saying, it'd
I'm
be
just
nice
saying
if
that
there
I
was
would have liked
more
for that.
snake charmers in it.
I would have liked for her to have.
Where were the
more to
camels?
do. That's all I'm saying. I'm not
sure.
saying it had to. I'm saying I would have.
I'm saying you can't ding something for something it never said it was going to do.
I'm not necessarily dinging the movie.
You sound dinging. It sounds like a ding.
I've given this movie more than enough dings that have nothing to do with Anna Diop, but I'm just bringing that up because you mentioned about we were talking about her, so I'm mentioning that it's got more than enough dings, and even that with all the dings as we get on because we're going long. I will say, with all the dings, I would still recommend that people see Book of Clarence because I do think it asks some interesting questions. I do think that it's a beautiful film. I do think that for the most part, the cast is top notch. I think that LaKeith Stanfield is good in this. I would have just liked to see a little him hit another gear. But I do think that this is a movie that does reward, and I think it may actually reward upon repeat viewing. I would be very interested to watch this with other people and see what they think. And sometimes watching a movie in an audience gives you a different perspective on what you're watching.
And to your point about why I didn't make that, like I 100% understood why I didn't make that much money. Like you can list the different reasons. Like within 20 minutes, I knew, oh yeah, this one gonna make no money. First of all, black people portraying biblical characters is always a non-starter. Full stop.
Okay, that's as far as the general public. You're right.
Yeah, well, right. The people, and let's be clear, I'm talking about black people too.
Some black people too.
Like I think we're uncomfortable with all that black in Jesus and in the hair and all. So that's first of all. Second of all, and now I am just going to talk about black people. We talked about this a little bit with Honk for Jesus, Save Your Soul. I think we are many of us are very precious with how we treat religion. And like, I think many of us are very uncomfortable grappling with religion and grappling with the Bible. And again, a Jesus who makes a Jezebel joke, or frankly, the apostles showing up looking damn near like a street gang.
They ready to rumble.
Which, like, what was it? Was it Paul was a doctor? I think Paul was a doctor. But like the rest of them cats was fishermen, and like they had hand, like them dudes could fight, like these were dudes. So this is what I thought they were like, but I think many of us are uncomfortable with that, and right or wrong, I think we're uncomfortable with that. So like this kind of very vibrant, earthy depiction of this moment with these people, I think is always going to have a muted response. And obviously, because I liked it more than you did, I think people should see this. Not only do I think people should see this, I think this is a film, to your point, that rewarding rewatching. I think this is a film that is going to age very well.
It may.
Like, this is a film, and as his second outing, I'm very much looking to Jeymes Samuel's third outing.
He is definitely a creative that I will continue to follow, and I will watch his films with, oh, it's a Jeymes Samuel's movie? I'm there. I'm there. That's enough to get me into the theater.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So there you go. Two recommendations at the end of the day for the Book of Clarence. Missionaries, we invite you, if you haven't checked out this movie, to check out this movie. And hey, you may feel like Black Panthro and love this movie. Also, shout out to my sister, Leslie, who is another fan of this movie.
Is she?
She's a very big fan of this movie, and she was definitely eager for us to review it. So yes, you're all right, Les.
Leslie's older than you? She's the older?
She is the older twin.
She's the older of the twin?
Yes.
The wise woman.
I will not tolerate foolishness. And with that, missionaries, the Micheaux mission draws a close to the year 2024. This is our last episode of the year. I think it goes without saying that we have enjoyed doing this show here at Young Junk. They have become a new home for us. We can't work with anyone else except Dylan. We will accept no substitutes. And we have enjoyed bringing you this show every week here live on YouTube and on your podcast directory of choice. We hope that you have enjoyed hanging out with us, so much so that you are telling friends, telling them all about our show. and welcoming them into the missionary family. And shout out to each and every one of you who shows up in the chat, who listens to the podcast regularly on audio or watches the videos. We appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
We absolutely do. We do not take it for granted.
No, we do.
Really don't. We really, really appreciate it. And it's an honor that people want to spend time with us.
I know.
It really is.
I know.
So thank you from the bottom of our hearts. And, everyone who, whatever it is that you celebrate or don't celebrate, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, have a wonderful Kwanzaa.
A safe and happy new year.
A safe and happy new year. Is Eid coming up? Is it Eid?
I think so.
Eid or Ramadan, or enjoy everything. Those of you who celebrate Festivus, hopefully your airing of grievances are small, and may your feats of strength be triumphant.
Amen. Amen. Ashe, ashe, ashe. All right. So, until 2025, my friend.
Until 2025. I feel like that's one of the years in Give Me Liberty, the Martha Washington story.
Yeah.
Which is Frank Miller's superior graphic novel from the 90s.
It is.
This is a conversation we'll talk about more in the car.
Tune in for Car Talk.
Yes.
Well, until...
And thank you, Lynn, as always. I enjoy spending time with you.
I have enjoyed spending time with you as well. I look forward. This is one of my favorite days of the week. Coming in here and hanging out with my good friend Vincent.
Absolutely.
And much joy and happiness to your family.
And to you and yours as well.
Thank you very much. All right. And to you too, Dylan. And to you and your family. Dylan's got big plans tomorrow. Ooh.
Yes,
sir. Yes, sir. But anyway, that's Dylan talk. All right. Until next year, he's Vincent, I'm Len, and in parting we say,
we'll see you when it's time to meet again.